Hey everyone, welcome to part 3 of this trophy and achievement guide for Metaphor ReFantazio. In this episode, we're going to go day by day for the rest of June, and we're going to get a couple trophies along the way and complete 3 different dungeons. So there's so much to get into, I'm really excited for it. Let's go ahead and get started. Picking up where we left off last time, it is June 13th in the afternoon. We're going to jump onto our blade and we're going to ride it down the alley all the way forward past Moore's Phantom, and we're going to go up the stairs and into the next area. From here, we're going to turn right and we're going to go right down the street toward the north until we get to the next area. And now we're going to go forward a little bit further, stick toward the left side so you can go around the corner and then go up into the recruitment center. From here, go forward and then turn toward the left. There's going to be a man behind the counter. This man will give us different bounties, and we need to defeat at least one of these bounties to get a trophy. So let's go ahead and choose the bounty that we're going to do. There's only one that becomes available to us, and that is going to be Maneater Manjula, Fiend of the Wastes. Let's go ahead and accept that one, and after a little bit of dialogue with Bellega, we'll be able to leave. So the quest starts called Man's Not So Best Friend, and that's all that we need to do here for now. Now if we push the left button on the directional pad, it will bring up a quick menu to our followers. You'll see that the different followers here might have a little icon with an arrow next to them. That means that they're ready to rank up. We're going to choose Hulkenburg first, and once we do that, it will say that basically she's ready to rank up for us. She wants to spend time with us, so we'll choose We Should Talk. We will be teleported directly in front of that person where we can talk to them. So we'll talk to Hulkenburg, and we're going to go through a little bit of dialogue. All you have to do is keep choosing the first answer for all of these dialogue options, and then you'll be able to say, I'd like that to spend the day with her. There'll be a couple different choices for dialogue throughout this conversation. I'm going to skip it though, it doesn't matter. All it affects is how much mag you get, which is very negligible. You'll reach rank 2, giving you Knight Enlightenment, reducing the mag cost of studying the Knight lineage, and you also get Guard Duty. Hulkenburg may defend the protagonist against attacks that hit his weakness. And now that concludes the afternoon, and we go into June 13th at night. And we do get to spend time at night doing something that can either increase ranks with our followers or increase our royal virtues. What we're going to do is to walk forward, and we want to talk to the knowledgeable man who's right next to us. And we can buy a few different things. Number one, we can buy Lord of Tradia Desert. That allows us to get some more information about that Maneater Manjula that we just accepted the bounty for. So you can learn about his strengths and weaknesses. He's strong against fire, but he's weak against ice. So that's good to know. We also can get the ingredients of Grand Trad. That teaches us about the things that we can buy, namely the Beetle meat, the pristine clear water, and the red grass. We already have a couple of those things, but in order to actually purchase the red grass, we need to buy the last item here, and that's called Secret of the Red Grass Shop. And once we do that, we learn the secret to buying red grass, because the vendor was normally holding out on us, but now we'll be able to purchase red grass from that shop. After we've bought all of those pieces of intel from the informant, we're going to fast travel over to the Regolith Grand Cathedral area so that we can purchase that one remaining red grass that we need. Hopping onto our sword, we're going to go forward, and as you might remember, in front of us is the water seller, and then the next line over is the butcher. But over in the last row here is going to be another seller called the herb seller. We just want to talk to him and say, do you know Grius? That is the secret that we learned from the informant. And once we say that, now this person will allow us to purchase red grass. We only need one of them, so let's go ahead and purchase that for 150 reeve. And once that's complete, now we have all that we need to start cooking. What we can do first though is just go a little bit further on toward the south here, and right at the end of this area is going to be a man called the Hammy Shopkeep. If we talk to him, then we can take on a challenge of eating some meat skewers. It does cost 150 reeve to do this. However, when we complete it, we actually get an item that we can sell for 490 reeve. It's a very good investment, and it only takes a minute, and you do get the benefit of getting your popularity rank to increase very slightly by doing this. That doesn't matter so much because the popularity rank is kind of set in stone for the game. There are certain limits based on time and story, so you don't need to really worry about trying to get that. Just let it happen as it happens. Now let's fast travel back to the Hush Honeybee Inn because we want to do some cooking with Fabienne. She's straight ahead of us, so let's go over there and talk to her. It might be beneficial for you to save the game because the game will ask you to make a choice while you're cooking, and if you get the wrong choice, then you might not get as good of a reward. So save it, and then we're going to go ahead and go talk to Fabienne, and we want to cook some red grass roasted Bidou, and if we do that, then it's going to increase our tolerance very nicely, and it will be one of the things that we need to cook in order to get a trophy later on. So choose the red grass roasted Bidou. It's the second option on her list, and then you and Gallica are going to be cooking for a little bit. She's going to suggest that you deviate from the recipe and make it a little bit spicier, make some tweaks. We just want to say, let's stick to the recipe. And if we do that, then we will get the best possible reward for this. So good, just stick to the recipe and you'll be all set. As a reward, you're going to get 3 points toward tolerance. And you also get the red grass roasted Bidou that you cooked. You actually get to keep that. Even though it says you give it to the customer, well, I guess we get to keep it anyway. Well, once that's done, we're going to get a notice that Strohl wants to talk to us. We're not going to do that just yet, though. We do have another errand to run first. So let's go ahead and hop onto our sword, and we're going to follow that same path straight toward the west until we can go out into the next area, because we want to turn in a quest that we took earlier, and that quest was to cook something with Fabienne. So straight ahead of us in the next area is going to be the man who will accept this quest, and we're going to get our rewards, including an increase in wisdom. So this quest will give us 4 points toward the wisdom category, and that is going to be good to get us quite a bit closer to the next rank. Now let's go into our follower menu by hitting the left directional button, and we'll choose to spend time with Strohl, and we're going to teleport directly to him. Now let's go ahead and talk to him. We'll go through the same kind of thing with Hulkenburg. There'll be some choices that you can make and you'll learn more about his backstory. I'm skipping all that for the sake of time, and it doesn't really matter. What does matter is getting to rank 2, which teaches us Warrior Enlightenment, reducing the mag cost for studying the warrior, as well as Undaunted Spirit, which increases Strohl's critical hit chance when he fights a human. Now we've officially made it to June 14th at nighttime, and we want to travel over to Sunlumio Street. We're going to get enough wisdom now to get our wisdom rank up to level 2, and that's going to provide us with some good benefits. So once we're on Sunlumio Street, we'll get on our sword and we're going to go north a little ways, and then over toward the right, we're going to go over to where this bench is, and we're going to choose to spend time looking out at the capital on this bench. We will spend our whole nighttime doing this, but that will be enough wisdom gained in order to get us up to rank 2. So we only needed those 2 little points, and that was enough to get us up to wisdom rank 2, which is perfect because that allows us to not only do something to get a new trophy, but we can also get a new follower, and we can get a new archetype as well. So very important to get that wisdom up to rank 2. Now that it's June 15th during the afternoon, we're going to jump onto our sword and we're going to go forward. And what we want to do is to kind of go through the alleyways here, and we're going to eventually go over toward the right side. This is the same plaza where Morris Phantom is. You just want to turn right and go back by these shops here. There is the mag dealer that I talked about before, and there's also some shops. If you look at the mini map, some of the shops have a red icon. That means that they're having a big sale. I'm going to go into the weapon shop real quick, and what we want to do is to speak to the person in the weapon shop, and there's a few things that we want to do here. First and foremost, we're going to sell off the things that we already have, and that should give us about 17,000 reeve or so just from the things that we've collected. Now we can go to the appraise menu, and we have a lot of things that we've collected that we can't use yet. What we want to do is to appraise them. It costs a little bit of reeve, but we get to actually use the equipment and the weapons, everything that we get here, and it's a lot better than what we might have equipped, or we can turn around and sell that. So go ahead, appraise everything. And now we're going to buy this golden epi. It is 40,000 reeve, so it's kind of expensive, but you should have enough by now to purchase it, and it's even on sale. And when you buy something on sale, you're also going to get the Shrewd Shopper trophy. So that's really good. This weapon provides a significant damage increase to someone with the Seeker archetype. So let's go into our archetype tree, and I'm going to switch the protagonist from the mage to the Seeker archetype. And when I do that, it will automatically equip that golden epi weapon that we just purchased, and that's going to be really powerful for us. So we now can do lots of damage in battle, and that's going to carry us through the next couple different dungeons that we go through. Now, because we also leveled up that mage archetype, we can inherit skills that we unlocked for the mage and use them with our seeker. It does cost a little bit of mag to do that, and I'm going to learn both Blizz as well as the bot spell. Those just allow us to hit different elements for enemies and hit their weaknesses. So good to always have a variety of elemental damages that you can use in addition to the ones that you might already have on the current archetype that you have equipped. So that's all good now. Let's go ahead and leave the shop, and we're going to go back out to Sunshade Row. Well, we just got one trophy, let's get another one. We'll hop on our sword, we'll go up the stairs, and we're going to exit out the northwest corner. That will take us to the Regolith Grand Cathedral area, but we're going to go toward the left, just stick toward the left wall, and that will take you into the next area. What we want to do is head over to the church because we're going to purify a piece of equipment to get another trophy. So now that we're in Sunlumio Street, stick toward the right side, go up the stairs, and you'll be inside the church. Let's walk forward and talk to the Sanctor. Because we are now at Wisdom level 2, he will allow us to purify a piece of equipment. So let's go ahead and choose the Purify option when we speak to him, and we can choose anything we want to. A lot of people like to upgrade the Dragon's Judgment Sword. That's something that we got from that dragon, and that would add the fire affinity. That can be good or bad depending on the enemy that you are fighting. I'm going to choose the Foreman's Jacket just to get us some good armor, and we're also going to be able to reduce the damage that we take from being hit by our weakness. And we also get the Blessed Power trophy or achievement when we purify our first piece of equipment. And I'm going to go ahead and throw that onto Strohl. We have some extra blessed waters, so you can go ahead and purify other pieces of equipment if you want to. And when you're done, we're going to go ahead and exit out to Sunlumio Street. We're going to go straight across the road, and we're going to talk to the Igniter Merchantess, because now that we have Wisdom rank 2, we are able to accept a new quest from her. So choose the last option there, at least describe the job, and after a little bit of dialogue, then she will give us a new quest. The quest is called A Bullish Embargo, and we have to slay a Guptoros in a place called Bellega Corridor. It is located just outside of Grand Trad. It's a very quick trip to get there, and we'll be able to do it in just one afternoon. So once you're done talking to Brigitta, what you want to do is to turn toward the south, hop onto your sword, and we're going to follow the road all the way through the main gates of town. And when we do that, we're going to be prompted to select which area we want to go to. What we want to do is to select option 2, which is I want to go to Bellega Corridor. And once you select that, then it will pop up the map again. You'll get to select where you want to go, and of course we want to go to the place just a little bit toward the west of Grand Trad. And we're going to say yes, we want to go there, select that, and then the game will automatically take us there. We have to fast travel between areas like this, especially if it's just a short trip. A little bit later on in the game, trips might take longer than just one day, and I'll show you what that's like in a little while. But for now, we're just going to do a quick trip over to Bellega Corridor. Now that we're here, we'll see that there's a few things available to us. Our party members are here. There's also Morris Phantom to go back to Academia, and some other people that can talk to you about the place. What we're going to do is just to go forward, open the door, and say let's go in. That will cause us to spend our afternoon here, and we'll be able to fight lots of enemies, get tons of treasure, and then that will conclude the day when we leave. So now that we're inside, I'm going to pull up the map. I already scouted out this whole area for you, and it looks like in this first area, all we need to do is to basically hug the right side wall to get all the enemies and the treasure here. So let's start by going forward, and then, like I said, just stick toward the right side. In the first area, you can grab a blue item off the ground in this corner, and now continue toward the north. There's going to be a couple of these weak goblin-like enemies. We can take them out very quickly, and now we're going to go over toward the right and into this next room. Some of the enemies are a little bit tougher, and they will require us to go into squad-based mode. The enemies in this area are not big fans of magic, but we can take them out really quickly with it. So let's go ahead and use our synthesis skill Goddard, and that should be enough to finish all the enemies off after we've already initiated combat with them through that surprise attack. This one just happened to hang on there a little bit longer. Because I have the Seeker archetype equipped, I do have some more synthesis skills, but not enough turn icons to use them. Don't worry, we'll use them soon. For now, we can just use a normal attack to finish off the enemy. The golden epi does lots of damage here, and it's a really great weapon that will help us to get through this dungeon very easily. Alright, let's keep it going, and what we want to do is to go ahead and open up this treasure chest that's right by us. Remember, if you use the phase sight, it will outline the treasure chest. If it's white, it's safe. If it's red, it's not safe, and there's an enemy lurking inside. We'll be dealing with that in a little while. Now let's go ahead and leave, and we'll stick toward the right side, and we're going to go through here. There is going to be one of these tooth-looking guys, and these guys are pretty funny. They're not enemies. They actually give you some tips and tricks, all while throwing in some really bad tooth and mouth related puns. So go ahead and just talk to him if you want to learn a little bit about the game. And now we're going to go through this little crawl space here toward the north, and then we can finish off these enemies in the upper corner. They're very weak, and then we can take out this enemy with a squad-based battle. These guys are a little bit stronger too. They sometimes have different abilities. Some of them will have bows and arrows, or swords and shields, or magic. Either way, we can take them out pretty easily. I'll use that synthesis skill called Psych. It does wind-based damage against all enemies, and because I have a pretty strong weapon equipped, I also do lots of damage to all these guys, so they do not stand a chance. A lot of the enemies that I eliminate throughout this dungeon, where I don't show the whole squad-based combat, I'm defeating them just by using that Psych ability. It's very efficient at clearing all the enemies out. We'll grab this item, and now we're going to go over toward the west and then south to exit out into the next floor. Now that we've gone down a floor, I want to show you what this area looks like, so I'll pull up the map real quick, and what we want to do is first head toward the west to clear out that side, and then we're going to make our way down and toward the bottom part in the south. So starting off, we're going to turn to the side, and then we're going to eliminate these two dogs over here. We'll backtrack a little bit, and now we're going to go through the southern pathway, and we're going to eliminate the enemies over here, and once we've eliminated them, we're going to grab the item in this corner. Now let's go back the way we came and join the main hallway. From here, we're going to start heading south down the path, and we're going to encounter quite a few enemies that we can take out pretty simply, either with one-hit kills in the overworld, or we're just going to go into squad-based combat and clear them out with a synthesis skill very quickly. We're going to keep heading on toward the southeast corner, and we're going to go through the exit, and that will take us to a lower area. From here, there's quite a bit that we can do. Basically, we're going to go toward the east and then work our way north from there. There are going to be little crawl spaces that allow us to get into areas that seem inaccessible. So now as we head toward the south, let's just get rid of all the enemies in this area. Now we're going to keep heading toward the south, and we're going to grab this item in the corner. From here, we're going to go back north and then turn toward the right, so we're going east. Keep running along this pathway here. We can't get into this area. We have to go through a crawl space later on to get that. And we can take out the dogs along the way. After that, we're going to keep going and eliminate these enemies. And now we'll go a little bit further toward the east, and we're going to grab this item in the southeast corner. Now let's turn toward the north and run forward until we get into the very large room. From here, we're going to immediately turn right to grabbing this item on the ground and eliminating the moths. Now turn all the way around and go over toward the west side of the room. You can grab this item as well as go through a crawl space. Once we get through there, we'll turn toward the left, which is heading south, and we're going to go to the end of the hallway, and there's going to be a golden beetle over here. So make sure that you pick that up, and now we're going to go north. There's going to be 2 treasure chests and 1 item to get in this area. The first treasure chest we come to contains a witch's earring, which increases our magic stat by 3 if we equip that accessory, and the other treasure chest contains an aquamarine, which is just something that we can sell for some more reeve. Now let's grab the item on the ground, and we're done with this little offshoot. We're going to go back to the crawl space and crawl through to get back into the main room. Now we're going to turn toward the left, and we're going to run into this large group of enemies and eliminate all of them.
Careful. We've got company.
There they are.
Once they're gone, we're going to go over toward the northeast corner of this room. We'll eliminate the other enemies along the way, and when we're done with all of them, then we're going to go to the far corner, and we're going to grab this item on the ground. There's going to be 1 more item. We have to circle around toward the north and then turn toward the south when we get to the far west side, and we can grab this item on the ground in between all the mods. Once that's done, we'll go back toward the north, and then we're going to exit down into this lower staircase. This room is pretty much just a very long hallway. We'll go forward and we'll eliminate the first enemy that we come to, but be careful because there can be enemies lurking behind the pillars. We'll take it wide and then eliminate this guy, and then we want to turn and see that there's a blue Elementa over here. Let's take him out, focusing all of our attention on him, and when we go into battle, we need to focus on hitting his weakness, which is going to be of the fire element. So we'll hit him with a bot spell, and that should be enough to finish him off very easily, getting us some pretty good rewards. Remember, we have to kill 10 of these Elementa enemies in order to get a trophy, so we've gotten a few of them already. We'll be getting lots more throughout the game, so that should come pretty easily. Now let's go ahead and eliminate all of the enemies in this big group, and then what we want to do is to keep heading down toward the south so that we can pick up the item in the bottom corner. Now let's go through the nearby stairs to exit going up. And from here, we'll turn to the right. We'll see that there's a long group of enemies just in a straight line. We'll eliminate all of them with 1 hit. Now, if you turn around and face north, there's going to be a crawl space that we can go through up into another area. In this room, there's only 2 treasure chests, so go ahead and collect both of them.
Nice. Here we go. Look at that.
Now that we have that new weapon and new piece of armor, let's go back through the crawl space out into the main hallway. Let's turn toward the right and grab the item off the ground, and then we're going to go through the nearby exit. We're pretty much at the end of this dungeon now. We'll just turn around the corner, and there's going to be Moore's Cat, which provides us with a save point and a good warning that the big boss is right behind the big doors. What we want to do is go into the skill menu and have Hulkenburg use first aid just to top off everyone's health. We don't need to worry about our MP too much, but we want to make sure that we're equipped with all the best stuff. So choose a character and then choose the strongest option and just go ahead and equip everyone with the strongest things. Everyone should have some sort of an upgrade based on the things that we've collected in this dungeon so far. So go ahead and equip everything, and then what we're going to do is to stop by Moore's Cat really quick just to save the game. This fight can either go pretty well or really poorly depending on a couple factors, but we're going to hope for the best here and also prepare for the worst by having a save point right outside the door. So once you're all set with that, let's go ahead and go through the big doors. There's going to be a short scene, and then you're going to be launched into a fight with the grotesque Goop Tauros. Well, this guy has two main weaknesses that we're going to exploit. He's weak to ice attacks as well as pierce, and we've got the ability to use those with all of our party members. We'll start by passing the turn over to the protagonist using the synthesis skill Matarukaja. What that does is it increases all of our allies' attack by 1 stage, and that's a good thing to do so that we are doing more damage per turn because we don't want this fight to drag on for too long. Now what we're going to do is to have Hulkenburg just use her normal attack. Because he's weak to pierce, we get that weakness, and we're able to then use another ability with Strohl. He's a mage and he can use ice-based attacks, so let's use Blizz and we're going to hit him for his weakness again. When you use a magic spell against him like this, he will grow enraged, and that causes him to lose one of his turn icons, and then he just charges for the next turn, which increases his power. Now you've kind of got a choice. You can either use Matarukaja again to raise everyone's attack up another level, or you can just jump right into using an ice spell. Because we inherited one on the secret archetype, we're able to basically attack 6 times for each of our turns. We have 3 turn icons, and we use a half of a turn icon every time we hit a weakness. So what we're able to do is basically 6 different attacks. He does attack pretty hard using Frenzy, and that takes out a lot of our health, but we're still hanging in there just fine. Well, now we're going to actually do those 6 attacks in our 1 turn, and it just says using Blizz as well as our normal Pierce attack with Hulkenburg. Just keep using those over and over, and you're going to get his health really low. You might be able to kill him on this turn, or he might be very low on health, and I'll show you what happens if he is just low on health. What you need to do is to make sure that you don't die on your next turn, and that means that because we have the secret archetype with the day ability, we're able to do a little bit of healing. The last thing that you want is to miss an attack, because if that happens, your turn will end, and that means that he will probably kill you. So you can see all of our party members are very low on health. If he were to use it on the frenzy, we'd get wiped, and that would be very bad. Just for safety, instead of attacking and risking a miss and getting wiped, I'm going to use the day spell to heal the protagonist up. That way, even in case the next attack misses, he'll still live and can finish the fight on our next turn. But let's go ahead and roll the dice here. We'll see that Hulkenburg does hit, and that will end the fight. And we get all of our rewards. And at this point, I do get enough archetype experience to level up our Seeker to level 9, and that will teach us the Sweeping Slash ability, which does weak slash damage on 1 enemy. After a little bit of a dialogue here, then we're going to get a choice. Do we want to immediately return back to the beginning of the dungeon, or do we want to run back ourselves? I'm going to choose to run back ourselves. It's going to be the second option, and that will allow us to go back through the dungeon. We can eliminate more enemies. That's very important because we're getting close to 2 more trophies, and I want to complete them before we leave here. So I'm going to use the skill First Aid from Hulkenburg to heal all of our health up, and then we're going to start running back toward the entrance ourselves. There's also 1 additional treasure chest that we haven't gotten yet, so I want to go and grab that. So now we're backtracking into the room with the enemies marching in a line. Let's take all of them out, and then we're going to keep on going toward the east and exit out the north side.
Looks like we're safe for now.
Let's keep going forward and eliminating all of the enemies in this area too. At this point, the protagonist got up to level 18. I've got 2 points that I can use. I'm going to put 1 point into both endurance and into agility. Now let's take out all the other enemies in this area. We're going to keep running toward the north and taking out the next group of enemies along the way.
Right there.
Is that the end then?
There they are.
And finally run all the way toward the north and exit out the top. From here, we're going to circle around toward the south. It doesn't matter if you go east or west first, just go one of those directions and keep heading toward the bottom of this area.
There they are.
We'll take out this large group of goblins,
We are safe.
and we can take out the moths just for good measure.
Fine.
Now let's go through this southern doorway, and what we want to do is to turn and start heading toward the west. We want to go all the way to the end of this hallway, eliminating all the enemies along the way.
I see the enemy.
Impressive as ever. Is that the end then?
Right there.
How's that? There is still danger.
And now after you eliminate all of these enemies, there's a path going north and a path going down toward the south. We want to go toward the south first. So let's go and turn toward our left and go and exit out this southwestern hallway. And now we're just going to run around, and there's going to be a couple enemies around here. We can take them out, as well as grab this last treasure chest in Bellega Corridor.
Look at that.
There's one more enemy here. We'll just kill him quickly, and then we are very close to getting 2 more trophies, and I want to get them before we leave this dungeon. So let's go ahead and exit out the southeast side, and now we're going to run over toward the north and exit out the northwest. Let's go toward the north, and we're going to take out the enemies along the way. Once you get to the north side, let's go over toward the west, and we're going to clear out the enemies in this dead end area. So there's 2 dogs and then a couple goblins in the back part.
I think we got them all.
Okay, after that we're going to turn around and go back to the main hallway, and we want to exit out toward the south. And now we'll go forward and get into fights with as many things as we can. We'll start by going toward the north, taking out these enemies, and then we'll keep going toward the east, and we're going to go into this back room. We'll initiate combat with this group of enemies, and that will earn us the Tactical Strike Trophy because we've successfully ambushed 100 different groups of enemies. We can take care of these guys very quickly with the Gabliz synthesis skill, and once they're eliminated, you'll see that I gained enough archetype experience for Strohl to get to level or rank 20 with his mage, and that will give us a new trophy called Archetype Adept for getting one of our archetypes up to the master rank. What master rank means is that we've hit the max rank of 20 with them. We can't earn any more ranks with it, but when the archetype experience meter fills up, we will get a new item that we can use to apply 1000 archetype experience to anyone that we want to. We also get a permanent stat boost for that character. In this case, our max MP goes up by 20. Let's take a moment to go into the menu and go to the archetype tree. We'll go down to Strohl, and we'll see that the mage icon is filled in at solid silver. That means we've mastered it. And the one just beyond it, we can't access it even though we are rank 20 with the mage, because we don't have Galca up to rank 3, we can't get to that. So as soon as we get to the point where we have Galca at rank 3, we can go ahead and learn a new archetype. I did switch Strohl over to the warrior archetype. That's his base one, and that means we can just keep ranking him up there. And of course, make sure that he goes back into the front row so that he can do lots of damage. Now we're just going to go ahead and exit. We want to go toward the southwest corner here, and we're going to exit out the far bottom part, and that will take us to the entrance to this entire place. We can go through the doors and then basically just run straight forward. Galca will ask us if we really want to leave and go back to town. Now you can keep going in and out of the dungeon as much as you want to in this one day. However, we don't have any need to do a lot of grinding right now, so let's just go ahead and leave. We'll head back to the city. Now, because we did something in a dungeon during the day, we cannot do anything at nighttime. We have to rest and recuperate over nighttime, so you can't do any activities at the night when you go into a dungeon during the day. That's alright though. We have plenty of opportunities to do things at night to rank up our followers, advance quests, etc. So now that we have gone back to town, like I said, we can't do anything. We'll just have a nice meal with our comrades, and that will officially end the day, giving us all of our HP and MP back, and we'll be ready and raring to go for the next day, which is going to be June 16th in the afternoon. Even though it looks like Strohl wants to talk to us, we're not going to talk to him at this point because we've got something else we want to do. We just completed a quest for Brigitta and we're going to turn it into her. So let's fast travel to Sunlumio Street. We'll get onto our sword and we're going to go forward toward the north and then stick over toward the right side so that we can find Brigitta standing outside of her shop. When you talk to her, you'll be forced to spend time with her, so we are going to dedicate our day to spending time with Brigitta, but that's okay, it is well worth it. So after we go through a little bit of dialogue with her, what we're going to do is to get a lot of good rewards for completing this quest. Not only do we get a fair amount of Reeve, but we also gained quite a bit of courage. We get 4 points of courage to add to our royal virtues. But the good things don't end there because we also get her as a new follower and she becomes a rank 1 follower, and this will give us the ability to study a new archetype called the Merchant, which is actually pretty good. And we also get the proof of membership so that we can actually purchase things inside of her Igniter shop. The Merchant archetype is located on one of the hands on the left side of the archetype tree, and we'll be studying that pretty soon. And that officially ends the day. We now go into the night portion of June 16th. We want to do some more cooking with Fabienne, and what we want to do is to quick save the game just in case we make a mistake while cooking. We can always just reload it from here. So after you save it, go forward and talk to her. We don't want to cook one of those red grass roasted badoos. We just want to do normal cooking with her, which is going to be the first option that it gives us. And this does spend time, but it also gives us some more points toward tolerance. So what you get here is kind of random. It can be one of 4 different scenarios. I'll give you the correct choices to make depending on which dish you're making. If what you're cooking has a secret ingredient of fruit, you need to choose to grate it and simmer it. If what you're cooking is an omelet, you need to cook it on low heat. If you're making stew, scrape the top. And if you're making a seafood bread wrap, then take the fish skin off first. And because I'm making the omelet, I'm going to choose cook it on low heat. Choosing the correct option gets you additional points in tolerance, so make sure that you do that. And here I got 3 more points in tolerance, and that's going to end the night. And now we find ourselves on June 17th in the afternoon. As you may recall, Strohl wanted to speak to us and nothing's changed, so let's pull up that follower menu, select Strohl, and we want to spend time with him. So once we teleport over to him, let's have a conversation. We'll choose to spend the day with him, and that's going to advance his personal storyline a little bit. Remember that the things that you say do not matter at all because you will always get up to rank 3 with him, and that gives us a new archetype. As long as we are rank 20 with the warrior archetype, we now have access to the next level of that lineage, and that's called the Sword Master. That concludes the afternoon portion. Now it's nighttime on June 17th, and we want to do more cooking with Fabienne. So go forward, speak to her, and we're going to once again choose option 1 to cook a random meal that she gives us. This time I have to cook the dish that has the secret ingredient of fruit. I'll put the chart back on the screen to help you out, and because I got that fruit one, it means that I'm going to have to choose to grate it in and simmer, which is going to be option 2. So once I choose that, then it's going to complete the scene and we're going to get our reward, which is going to be a couple more points of tolerance. So that's pretty good. We're getting closer to rank 2 with tolerance. That's going to conclude the nighttime, and now it's going to be the afternoon of June 18th. And now we're going to knock out another one of the dungeons. This one is quite a bit shorter than the last one. So let's go ahead and hop on our sword. We're going to go all the way toward the west, up and into Sunlumio Street. And once we're here, we're going to go forward and a little bit toward the left so that we can exit out the main doors of Grand Trad again. And once we do that, then we will have the option of where to go. And we want to choose to go to the Tradia Desert. Now in this next area, we just have to go forward a little bit further to confirm that we do in fact want to spend our time out in the desert, or you can turn back. I'm going to choose to go forward. There'll be some cutscene stuff, and then the game will tell you how to make the bounty target appear. You just have to defeat the other groups of weaker enemies. If we look at the map, what we want to do is to start heading down toward the southeast. We can stop by and grab a gold beetle, and then we'll go through, kill one group of enemies, and grab a treasure chest on the east side. Then we're going to head straight toward the west to grab an item, and then we're going to go down toward the southwest corner to kill a group of enemies before turning, going north, grabbing a treasure chest, and taking out the final group of enemies, and then fight the bounty. So let's start by going forward and a little bit toward the left. If you look at this bush as you go forward, you'll see the gold beetle just in front of it. So go ahead and grab that. And now we want to continue down toward the southwest. There are some enemies along the way. This big pack of dogs is one group that we have to eliminate. So let's get rid of them. And you can also take out the sandworms. Just be careful because they will try to pop up out of the ground. You can try to roll away when you see this flash of light. That's a good way to dodge them, and then you can attack them and finish them off. Keep going down all the way toward the southwest. There's also going to be some birds that you can take out. Everything in this area should be one-hit kills for you, so you don't have to worry about that. And now we're going to open up this treasure chest. Once we have that, we're going to turn and start heading straight toward the west. There's going to be Moore's Cat along the way, so if you see that on your mini-map, you know that you're going in the right direction. Just keep going past that, and you're going to see this item on the ground. It's going to be inside the rib cage here. Go ahead and grab that. And now we're going to turn and start heading toward the south, and we're going to encounter another big group of dogs here. So we're going to finish them all off, as well as this bird that comes into attack and the sandworms. And then we're going to continue on toward the southwest corner because we're going to find an Elementa over here. So this is another blue Elementa, meaning that it is weak to fire-based attacks. Let's go ahead and get into a battle. And because we have the Seeker that also inherited the bot spell, we're able to either use that, or you can use a synthesis skill such as horse-drawn carriage. It's one that we haven't used before, so we definitely want to use that. Remember that we're still working toward using 50 unique synthesis skills because that will give us another trophy. Well, that was some massive overkill for that one blue Elementa. He never stood a chance. And let's go ahead and keep on going. Now that we've collected everything from the southwest corner of the map, we're going to start going over toward the north. And on the way, we are going to pick up another treasure chest. So let's keep heading all the way toward the north, and there's going to be a treasure chest that's nestled kind of right in between the large rock formation and the small rock. Go ahead, pick that up. And then once you have that, we're going to keep going toward the north where we can find our final large group of dogs that we have to eliminate. And once they're gone, the game will automatically have a cutscene, and we're going to then be into a boss fight against our bounty target. Alright, here is the Maneater Manjula. It is strong against fire-based attacks, but weak against ice. We can go ahead and start off this battle using the synthesis skill called Rider of the Blade, and that's going to do a good amount of damage to him and give us another one of those synthesis skill uses. Now we're going to have Strohl use one of his archetype abilities. This is Diagonal Slash. It does a little bit of slash damage to the enemy, not too much though. The enemy does some pretty weak attacks. We really don't have to worry about this guy too much at all. And then what we're going to do is to use our next turn to try to hit him with the Jump Thrust, and that is a good synthesis ability that will also lower his defense, which means we'll be doing more damage against him. It's the protagonist's turn again. We're going to use one of our inherited skills from the mage, and we're going to hit him with Blizz because he's weak against it. And now we can hit him with one more Diagonal Slash from our warrior, and that will be everything for this fight. So very easy fight. He only got to attack us on one round, and we took him out no problem. Strohl got his warrior up to rank 3, which teaches him a new passive ability called Heat Up, increasing our physical attack damage by 10%. And after that, we're going to get our reward called a Rampager Tail. We have to turn this in to the recruitment office in order to get our reward for slaying the bounty. So you can either choose to head back or keep running around in this area. I'm just going to choose to head back immediately. And then once we're back inside this area, we just have to run toward the camera and we're going to go back into Grand Trad. That will, of course, end the day because we technically went out into a dungeon. Even though it was a short trip, it took the whole time, and then we once again have to rest and recuperate overnight, so we can't do anything at nighttime, but we will be able to do good things during the next day. It's now June 19th during the afternoon, and we have a quest that we can turn in for slaying that bounty. Let's go ahead and fast travel over to the recruitment office. We'll take a few steps forward, turn left, and talk to the man behind the counter again. This bounty is marked as complete, and that clears the quest. We also get 10,000 Reeve as well as 4 points into Courage, getting us pretty close to rank 2 in Courage, and our popularity rank increases slightly. That doesn't matter though, but what does matter is that we get the Monster Hunter trophy for subjugating a bounty. There are no more bounties available at this time, so we can just leave, and then we're going to go back outside. Let's hop onto our sword and turn toward the right, and we're going to go forward until we go into the next zone. Keep going forward toward the south and stick over toward the right hand side. You want to find someone with an icon over their head, and that is going to be the Chatty Elder. Let's go ahead and speak to him. We do have to use our day to speak to him, but when we do that, then we're going to get 2 points for imagination, which helps us in our progress toward leveling up that royal virtue. We're now on June 19th at night. We're automatically inside the Hushed Honeybee Inn, and we get a notice that Brigitta wants to talk to us. So let's go ahead and push that left directional button to bring up the follower menu. We'll scroll down quite a ways until we find Brigitta, and then we're going to select her. We'll choose to go and speak with her now. That will end up using our nighttime, but that's good because we're going to get her up another follower rank. Again, the choices you make when speaking to these people don't really matter. It only determines how much mag you get, but it's so little it doesn't matter. Either way, you get up to rank 2 with her, gaining the Merchant Enlightenment ability, meaning that it costs less mag to study the Merchant. Now it's going to be June 20th in the afternoon. Let's hop onto our sword and go forward. What we want to do is go into this main plaza where Morris Phantom is, then turn toward the right. We're going to follow this alleyway down, up all the stairs, and we want to go past all of these shops up to the very top part, and we're going to find someone called an activist woman, and we're going to speak to her. What we need to do is to pay her 250 Reeve, and when we do that, then we're able to spend some time with her. If we do that, we're going to increase our eloquence by 2 points. Luckily, even though we pay her, she does give us an item at the end anyway, so it's not like we lost money for nothing. We actually get something tangible in addition to a little bit more toward that royal virtue of eloquence. That's going to complete the afternoon. We're now moving on to June 20th at nighttime, and what we want to do is go speak to that Chatty Elder one more time. So you can either jump on your sword and go all the way there, or you can just fast travel over to Sunlumio Street. He's going to be just ahead and on your left. Let's go ahead, chat with him, spend the night with him, and that will give us 2 more points toward imagination. It definitely seems like some of these royal virtues we can level up a lot quicker than other ones, but don't worry, there are very fast ways a little bit later on to gain lots of points and level those things up a lot quicker. It's now June 21st in the afternoon. We're going to hop back onto our sword, go back to the plaza by Morris Phantom, turn toward the right, go down these alleyways, up the stairs, and you probably guessed it, we're going to go talk to that activist woman once again. We again have to pay her 250 Reeve. She will give us an item though, so it's worth it, and we also get 2 more points toward eloquence. So let's go ahead, spend the day with her, and get our rewards. Well, the days are really flying, and so are the nights. And speaking of nights, it's now night of June 21st. Let's go ahead and fast travel back to Sunlumio Street so that we can have a chat with that chatty elder one more time to get a couple more points toward imagination. Again, once you get to Sunlumio Street, turn a little bit toward the left, go over and speak to him.
What do you want to do?
My thanks. All right.
We're inching closer and closer toward ranking up that imagination. We're just not quite there yet, but don't worry, we'll get that soon. It's now June 22nd in the afternoon, and we have to go find Maria. She's run off somewhere, so let's go ahead and jump onto our sword and travel straight toward the west to go up into Sunlumio Street. From here, we're going to turn right and go north all the way along the road until we get back to the Regolith Grand Cathedral area. And now let's keep going forward past all the vendors. We want to stick over toward the left side. There's going to be a lot of people over here. And what we want to do is to go over and join this large crowd. And once we get close enough to the gate, then a cutscene will play out. I'm going to skip a lot of the story stuff here just for spoilers and things. But when you get control of yourself again, it's going to be June 23rd in the afternoon. And we're going to be in the recruitment center. Let's go over close to the guy who gives out these quests. We'll have a little cutscene, and now we can talk to him. We want to choose to select a new bounty that's available to us. It's going to be called the Old Castle Town Kidnapper. We're going to go ahead and accept this one, and then we're going to be moving on to June 23rd at night. We're back at the Hushed Honeybee Inn. There's nothing more that we have to do, so we're just going to head up the stairs, go down toward our bedroom, head inside, and then we're going to choose to interact with the bed so that we can get some rest. That will close out the day and bring about another story section for us. During the night, we automatically get a new quest called Promising Returns, and then there's a few days worth of story stuff. I'm not going to spoil any of that, so feel free to pause the video until you get control of the main character again. Otherwise, we're going to get rolling in a couple seconds. We now find ourselves inside the Gauntlet Runner. This is a great way to travel long distances in a short amount of time, and we also have some onboard amenities that can really help us out. Starting off just outside the navigation room, there's going to be a door on your left to the toilet. You only really want to use this on days that end in 5 or 0, because when you use a toilet on those days, you get a permanent +1 to your luck stat, which is why we don't use our point allocations when we level up for that. The washroom can give you 100 experience if you use it in a day, but more importantly, we'll turn around and we'll use the pantry on the other side of the hall. Every day you can use this one time and you're able to get free cooking supplies, which is incredibly important. From here, we're going to turn and go one more room over. This is the kitchen. If you interact with the cooking table, you will be able to do some cooking. However, we can't do that just yet, and we do want to wait on cooking for a little while. I just wanted to show you that that's where it is. What we want to do is go across the hall from the kitchen and go down into the engine room. Morris Phantom can be found down here, as well as some other things that we can use to pass our time. But what we want to do is to head on over toward the main engine room. After some more cutscenes, the game will tell us about the Gauntlet Runner activities. We'll be doing quite a few of these throughout this playthrough, but for now we're just going to climb back up the ladder, and then we're going to go across the hall and into the kitchen. Let's go and interact with this cooking table. We will not only get some new cooking ingredients, but we're also going to get a list of recipes. As we progress throughout the game, we'll be getting more and more recipes, and there is a trophy related to getting all of these recipes actually cooked. But we're not going to do any of that cooking for quite a while yet, and there's a very specific reason for that I'll share at that appropriate time. So say maybe not, we do not want to cook right now. Instead, what we're going to do is to leave, turn to the right, and go into the next room. In this back right corner is going to be a bookshelf, and we're going to spend some time reading. So let's go ahead and interact with that. And the book that we want is called New World Travel Diary. Typically, when you read a book, you're going to read it over a period of 3 different times. Each time you read, you'll get a big boost to one of the Royal Virtue stats, and then when you complete the book, you'll get a large bonus on top of that. So this is a great way to level up those Royal Virtues. You'll have to answer some questions here, and I'll show you what the correct answers are. The first is option 1, you've matured.
What?
The second is option 3, maybe I'll write a book about it.
So then...
Sweet.
And last is option 1, teach me more. By choosing option 1, option 3, and then option 1 again, you get 4 points toward that imagination Royal Virtue, and then that will close out the day. On June 24th at night, you're going to be set up inside the desert camp, and whenever you camp on the Gauntlet Runner, there's going to be a campfire, and that campfire will have either a red glow or a blue glow on top of it, and each of those glows means that there's a different insect that you can collect. The red one is a Dream Eater moth, and the blue one is a Luma bee. They are very random as to what you will actually get here. Just make sure that every night that you spend camping, you do go and collect them, because those are very important cooking ingredients that we want to get. So you always want to make sure that you're collecting things from the pantry during the day and collecting things at the campfire at night. Well, once you've collected that, let's go over and talk to Strohl, because he will be able to upgrade another one of our Royal Virtues. This time we'll gain a little bit more imagination when we spend time with him. So here we go, we gained 4 more points toward imagination, and that's going to get us pretty close to rank 2. Now on June 25th during the day, we're able to use that toilet, and when we do that, because the day ended in a 5, then we also get the +1 to our luck stat. Now we're going to go across the hall and go into the pantry, and we're going to get some free cooking supplies. It's really great if you get something called a Gauntlet Shroom. They're pretty rare, but they are very useful, and you want to make sure that you get lots of those. And I'm pretty sure that this is the only place that you can get them. We will definitely be needing lots of Gauntlet Shrooms a little bit later on. Now let's go over and we'll talk to Strohl again, because we do want to level up our courage a little bit more. So let's talk to him during the day. We'll spend some time with him, and then that is going to give us a few more points in courage. After we apply all 4 points, we hit courage rank 2. Well, that's it for the decisions that we have to make today. Now there's going to be an automatic event that happens every once in a while. In this case, we're going to be traveling to a place called the Tree of Prophecy. And this is important because we need to visit all of these locations in order to get a trophy. They do pop up every once in a while, but they are on a set schedule. And during this time, we also get a drawing of that area, which is good because we can give it to Maria a little bit later on. And we also get 4 more points in wisdom whenever we visit one of these areas. So lots of rewards, but there's nothing we have to do. We don't force it or anything. It just happens to be a matter of these events occurring over time. Well, now it's nighttime again, and we see that there's a red glow over top of the campfire. So let's go ahead and collect our Dream Eater moth. And now what we're going to do is to run over and spend some time with Hulkenburg so that we can increase another one of our Royal Virtues. In this case, we're going to get a little bit more imagination with her. Once we apply the 4 points toward imagination, we do hit rank 2. So we're now officially rank 2 with courage, wisdom, and imagination. Still rank 1 with tolerance and eloquence, but don't worry, those are on their way up soon. Now there's some mandatory story stuff that happens here, and we're put into a fight against 3 opponents. We do not want to attack the guy in the middle. The guy on the right is weak to ice, so hit him with a blizz, and then the guy on the left is going to be resistant to magic, so use physical attacks instead. In particular, he's weak to piercing attacks, so use the synthesis skill Jump Thrust to do lots of damage and also lower his defense. And then just keep attacking the guy on the right with more blizz spells. Within 2 turns, you should be able to eliminate all of these enemies, no problem. Just keep hitting their weaknesses, and this battle will go pretty quickly.
and slash. Tougher than I thought. What could you hope to achieve?
This is nothing.
Take this!
Brace yourselves!
He knows we can't attack him. He's toying with us.
The freedom.
I won't hold back!
Ice!
So,
Once they are defeated, there's going to be a lot more story stuff, so of course I'm going to skip over that, but through the course of all of that, you're going to get a new quest starting called Providing a Spark. So once we get that, once again, lots more story stuff happening, and then we're going to find ourselves in a new location, and that's going to be the town of Martira. Starting off, turn toward the left, and you want to go through this door just ahead of you. This takes you into the guest room. Head down, and then you want to interact with the vase on the table. One of three things can happen. Either you'll get some mag, you'll get a little bit of Reeve, or you'll get a gold beetle, and this refreshes every day. So you do have to try this until you get the gold beetle. It's not guaranteed that it'll be the first time, just like it wasn't for me, but we'll just keep stopping back. And then you just want to rest and move on to the next day. So now we're up to June 28th. Let's head back into this tavern, and then what we want to do is to go forward a little bit, just past some of these tables, and then turn left. There's a fireplace here. We can interact with that, and we're going to get a gold beetle inside the fireplace. And then we're going to backtrack into that guest room once again, and because this is a new day, we're going to try again to see if we can get that gold beetle, or if we're going to get stuck with a lesser reward. In this case, I did get pretty lucky, and I did get that gold beetle. So now we're done with that one. Let's go ahead and leave this guest room, and then leave the tavern altogether. We'll start by running across the plaza, and we want to go talk to the water seller. We're going to start by selling off the treasures that we have. We should be able to get 9,000 or 10,000 Reeve off of that, and that should be more than enough to purchase the things that we want to buy here. We want to buy some mellow milks. We're going to buy 5 of these, and then if you want to, buy some of these fruit cordials if you want to quickly restore your MP while in a dungeon. And then when that's done, we're going to proceed north all the way up the large stairs, and we're going to go into the next area. Let's hop up onto our sword. We're going to turn left, and we're going to follow the path all the way around up all the stairs until we transition into a new area once again. Now let's turn toward the right and keep following the path around until we see our comrades, and we're going to talk to Barden, who's standing in front of this bridge. There's going to be some cutscenes that play out here. I'm just going to skip over them, and we'll take control of our character again in just a moment. Now let's turn toward the left. We're just going to backtrack the way that we came down into the previous section. Let's continue down the stairs, and on the left side there's going to be a woman here. We want to go ahead and talk to her. We just have to get a little bit of information about her. She will send us down closer to the armor shop where there's someone else that we need to talk to. So keep going down the path here, and then on your left side is going to be someone by the armor shop. They've got this like black cloud above their head. It kind of looks like they're confused or dizzy or something. Talk to him, and then he's going to point us over toward the plaza. So let's go down the stairs right next to him out into the section where we were before. And then when we're down here, what we want to do is to go over toward the left side, and we want to just stay over here until we can find this guy. We'll talk to him. He's going to point us toward another person who is over by the fountain in the area. So let's go ahead and give him 150 Reeve to get this information out of him, and then he's going to point us over to the side. Let's go ahead and talk to the man kind of by Moore's Phantom here. He's the last person that we have to talk to. So let's talk to this hungover man. A little bit of dialogue plays out, and then we're going to be back inside of the Gauntlet Runner. Let's proceed forward, and then we're going to go into the pantry, and we're going to collect our daily ingredients. This time I got some Orgo sugar and some briny salt. After that, we have to go across the hall, and we're going to go down into the engine room. Let's turn toward the left, and we're going to go down up past Nearest, and we're going to interact with the teleportation igniter that will bring up a map, and we're going to choose to go to Martira Old Castle Town. Let's go straight ahead and then a little bit toward the right. As we approach this man sitting down, a cutscene will automatically begin playing, and once we get through this, then we're able to actually go over and talk to him. This is the same pompous man that we met in Grand Trad and talked to him a long time ago before we got to the Hushed Honeybee Inn. If we have 2 ranks of imagination, we're able to begin a quest with him, so it's a good thing that we've got that up to rank 2 so that we can initiate this new quest with him. The new quest is called A Dagger, a Ring, and a Rake, and we have to go to a place called the Abandoned Tomb and get an item called Malveno's Ring. The Abandoned Tomb is a little ways away from town here, so we will need to use the Gauntlet Runner to get there. After accepting that quest, let's turn over toward the left, and we're going to run around until we see a young man over here who will give us another quest. So go ahead and talk to the Gloomy Youth, and he'll give you the quest called Hatching a Plan. For this quest, all we have to do is to purchase an item in the nearby town of Comero, and we'll be able to do that pretty easily coming up. So don't worry too much about that one. Let's go ahead and finish up this dialogue, and then we're going to go over toward the recruitment center and we're going to accept a new bounty from him. Let's look at the list of bounty targets, and we want to accept the one in the middle called Goborn King Forest Champion. After we accept this one, then we will be able to confirm that we want to go and do this one. We'll say we'll do it, and the quest will start called The New King of the Imps. It's going to take place in a forest not too far from town here. However, we will not be doing this for quite a while, but it will be very easy by the time we get around to it. So now that that's done, what we want to do is to leave the recruitment office, and we're going to hop onto our sword. Let's keep heading toward the west, and we're going to go up these stairs along this pathway, and then we'll turn toward the right and go up the stairs and into a new area. Once you get here, go to the right, you'll go up some stairs, and then when you get to the top, turn left, go a little bit further, and then turn right. There's going to be a green grocer girl on your right side. Let's talk to her, and we want to purchase some items from her. The first question that she asks you doesn't matter. You can answer anything, and then you'll get access to her shop. We're going to purchase 5 of these fragrant spices. They're very important for cooking, so let's go ahead and purchase these. They're not very expensive, only costing 100 Reeve every time you buy one, so just go ahead and purchase 5 of them, doing them one at a time, and once you're done with that, we're going to continue on. So let's go ahead, stay on our sword, and we're going to go up the stairs in front of us and into the new area. From here, we're going to keep going forward, and then when we get to the end of the path, we're going to go right into this hardy butcher woman. We'll talk to her, and we're going to buy some of this Morricone meat. I think 5 total will be enough, so if you've already got some, then you can purchase a few less of them. Just make sure you have about 5 of them in your inventory before you leave her. And now let's teleport to the Visca Alba Tavern. On our left is going to be the informant. Let's go ahead and buy the things that he's selling. Let's purchase Prize of the Abandoned Tomb, as well as King of Imp's Den, Village Trading Martyra, and finally Ingredients of Martyra. So those are all 4 items that we can purchase from this informant. Now that that's done, let's go ahead and leave, and we're going to fast travel over to the Gauntlet Runner. We're now able to embark on journeys by visiting the round table inside the navigation room inside the Gauntlet Runner. Let's go ahead and do that just by walking straight ahead, interacting with this round table, and then we want to choose to go to the location known as the Abandoned Tomb. So go to Route Map, and then you want to go down toward the south, and you'll find the Abandoned Tomb just a little ways away from you toward the south. So it's right here. Let's go ahead and select it, and we're going to go forward. It's going to cost 2 days to get there, but that's okay because we can spend our days on the Gauntlet Runner improving ourselves. So let's go ahead and go to the Abandoned Tomb. Once we start going, we'll hear a voice that Hulkenburg wants to spend some time with us. And that's good because that means that we're able to rank up with her. So let's hit the left directional button to pull up the follower menu. We'll select Hulkenburg, and then we'll be able to choose to go and speak with her now. And once we do that, we will automatically be teleported to where she is. Let's go ahead and talk to her, and then after a little bit of dialogue and more of her personal story, we're going to be able to reach rank 3 with her. Upon reaching rank 3 with Hulkenburg, we get access to a new archetype called the Magic Knight. We both have to get to the Master rank, or rank 20 with the Knight, as well as rank 10 with the Mage in order to equip this new archetype. Sometimes as you travel around on the Gauntlet Runner, you will be forced to get into fights, either with random creatures on the path, or sometimes you have to fight story-based characters like Goddard here. He attacks using the wind element, which is not so good for Strohl because he's weak to wind, but our other characters are just fine with it. He is also resistant to any ice-based attacks, so don't try to use wind or ice against him, but he is weak to lightning, so if you have a lightning based attack, go ahead and use that for more damage. If you inherit a skill from the mage, you're able to hit his weakness, and that should make things pretty easy for you. I like to use the synthesis skill Jump Thrust, and that's able to do lots of damage to him and also lower his defense by 1 stage. You just have to have a knight and a warrior equipped like what I have, and you're able to use that synthesis skill every time Hulkenburg's turn comes around. If one of your characters starts to get low on health, your Seeker archetype with the protagonist is able to do some healing with the Day spell, so keep that in mind, especially for Strohl, because he'll be taking extra damage from wind attacks. It's not too terrible of a fight, it just takes a long time if you don't have his weakness. Just go ahead, use your best attacks, keep trying to lower his defense just so that you do more damage every time that you attack on your turn, and you should be good in just a little while. So don't stress too much about this fight. Just keep whittling him down and he'll be dead in no time. So I'm just going to let this fight play out, and then I'll catch you at the end.
All yours.
Strohl, here's join with me.
Rogues will rise. Coordination is key.
And thus I still standing, I see.
Meddling. Little
Is there another way? Over here?
Only a flesh wound.
Hulkenburg badly wounded. Someone
With
heal her.
you.
Hulkenburg's in bad shape. She needs help.
Tougher than I thought.
Captain, they've slowed you down.
Together!
All right, let's go. Remember, nobody's trying to. God.
For beating Goddard, we get a good amount of experience, archetype experience, Mag and Reeve. We also got the protagonist up to level 19. I'm going to put 1 more point into agility just to keep it tied with endurance.
Rise to the occasion.
And now it's nighttime of June 29th, and what we're going to do is to go forward and interact with the campfire. There's going to be a bug over top of it. If it's red, it's a Dream Eater Moth. If it's blue, it's a Luma Bee. Hopefully you get blue because we do need a Luma Bee in order to do some cooking pretty soon. But once that's done, let's go ahead and talk to Strohl. We're going to choose to spend our time with him at night, and then when that's done, we're able to get our rank up with him as well. This will bring us up to rank 4, giving us the ability to inherit another skill slot for the warrior archetype. And now it's the last day of June, June 30th. We're inside the Gauntlet Runner in the afternoon. Let's start by going to the toilet. We'll use that, and because the day ends in a 0, we're able to get a +1 to our luck stat. We'll go across the hall, go into the pantry, and get the items for today. This time I get some Badoo meat as well as some red grass. After that, we're going to turn toward the left, and we're going to go over here and talk to Strohl so that we can gain a few more points of courage. We'll choose to spend the day with Strohl, and sometimes when this happens, you'll be asked some questions, and if you answer the question correctly, you'll get more points for that royal virtue. I'm not sure if this is one of those cases. I think it is, so I'll give you the right answer. He's going to be talking about the swords as you sharpen them together, and our answer is going to be the sharpness of the point, which is option 1. So go ahead and select this, and when you do, you should be able to get not only a good amount of mag for answering correctly, but you also get 4 points in courage. After that, there's going to be some cutscenes that play out, and now we'll find ourselves inside the abandoned tomb, which is our next dungeon destination. We're going to go forward and go into the big door here. We're going to choose to actually go inside, and that will mean that we're spending our day here, and then our nighttime is already going to be spoken for because we've gone into a dungeon, and then we can't do anything at night because we have to rest and recuperate. The abandoned tomb is pretty tricky because there's a lot of hallways, a lot of ladders going to different floors, a lot of enemies, as well as items and treasure to pick up, and some blocked doors that we need a special key to open up. We'll start by going forward, and then when we get to the first intersection with a path going left, let's turn left and then go through the doorway. There's going to be a treasure chest over here. You'll want to scan it with the face sight, and if it says that there's a red outline to it, that means that there's going to be an enemy inside this treasure chest. It's something that we have not encountered before. It is in fact a trap, and we have to get into a fight with this enemy. The main weakness of this enemy is light-based attacks, so if you have a Seeker and a Knight, you can use Rider of the Blade to do a good amount of light-based damage to them. It should take about 3 of these attacks in order to finish it off. So you can see I did a ton of damage to him there, and now I just have to go through my turns and try to take out as much of his health as possible. These guys can do some pretty strong attacks, and very annoyingly, what they like to do is to try to put your party members to sleep by using an attack called Sleepy Air. It's not guaranteed that that's going to hit your party members, but if it does, they're going to be asleep, and the next attack that hits them is going to be critical, and that can really add up over time in terms of damage and the number of attacks that he'll get to do. You can also try to use things like jump thrust to lower their defense, but honestly, just keep hitting them with that Rider of the Blade, and like I said, about 3 of those will be enough to finish them off. We'll get our rewards, and at this point I got Hulkenburg to the master rank for the Knight. That does teach her a new ability called Shield Arts. It does weak physical strike damage to one enemy and decreases their hit and evasion for 3 turns, and we also get +2 permanently to our endurance. And then we get the item that they were guarding. Now let's set ourselves up for success in the future. We'll go into the archetype tree and select Hulkenburg, and because we've mastered the Knight, we're going to teach her a different archetype, and this will be the Merchant. The Merchant is very unique because it actually uses money to attack, and so although we will be losing Reeve, we're also able to work on a trophy by spending Reeve in order to attack, and we're also able to use an Almighty ability. Almighty is a different element that's separate from all the other damage types, and nothing in the game resists almighty damage, so it's very good, and it does in fact give us an advantage against more of those mimic-like enemies. Also, with our Seeker, we're going to change up the inherited skills, and we're going to teach him Hama from the Healer archetype. So now we have a way to do light-based damage through magic, and we're also able to use a gold-based attack and almighty ability. We're also going to go to the warrior real quick and just inherit a couple skills here, fire and ice based, just to give us a little bit more type advantage. And when that's done, we're going to turn and go through the nearby passageway. Once we go through this crawl space, we're able to hop down, and there's some new pretty powerful enemies in front of us. So let's go ahead and attack them and initiate squad-based combat. These enemies are weak to strike attacks like most undead, but unlike most undead, they are not weak to light-based skills. Instead, they are weak to darkness-based skills, which we don't have access to right now, but that's alright. We'll go ahead and just keep attacking them and trying to finish them off as quickly as possible. They are pretty tough though, so it might take you a couple rounds to do that. With the Merchant, we can use Gold Attack to spend 500 Reeve. This attack, once again, does almighty damage, so it's guaranteed to do a good amount of damage without being resisted. And although we do lose a little bit of money, it's more than worth it because this attack also has a pretty high chance of getting critical hits. And that's really all there is to say about this fight. Let's just let it play out, and when it finishes up, then we'll keep going from there.
With blade in hand.
This won't do.
It ends. Now got them
The freedom of a wanderer. Vitus power. Flare. Just one left.
That's the spirit.
one down.
They hit hard. So good.
Only one left. Finish them off and we're clear. That's the last of them. The way's clear.
Straight in front of us is a treasure chest. Don't worry though, this one's safe. We can open it up and get the treasure inside. Now we're going to run toward the west side of this room, and we're going to go through the passageway over to the far hallway. We'll turn toward the right and run down the hallway, and then we're able to hop down once again. Let's look toward the left and we'll see a treasure chest. A quick scan of it reveals that there is in fact a monster inside, so be careful. Make sure that your health is topped up before you open this up and get into a fight. We can hit its weakness by using that Hama spell. That'll do a good amount of damage to him. I'm just going to skip Strohl's turn and go over to Hulkenburg because I want her to use her archetype skill called Gold Attack, and that's going to not only damage him but also scatter coins on the ground. And that's important because on his next turn he is going to be enticed by the gold, and he will actually lose one of his turn icons at the beginning, and then he'll get a chance to attack. Hopefully he doesn't get any critical hits or anything, but just that one attack will mean that his turn is over and he won't get to use his sleepy air attack and put us to sleep. And now we're just going to keep up that same method of using the Hama spell to do lots of damage and keep using Gold Attack. If you want to, you can use attacks from your warrior as well. I wouldn't recommend using his attack when there's a full turn icon. Only use it if there's a half of a turn icon so that you don't waste a full turn doing kind of subpar damage. And that's pretty much all there is to this fight. It's just using your gold attack to entice him and make him lose turn icons, and then hit him with his weakness with the light based damage. After that, we're going to get our merchant up to rank 2, and that teaches us a passive ability called Lucky Find, which is pretty cool because it increases the likelihood that we'll get items from battle by 20%. That applies to both in squad-based combat and when you just run around in the outside world. We've taken a bit of damage at this point, so we can use some skills here to get our health back. I'll use the day magic from my Seeker archetype just to heal everyone up, and then we're going to proceed north along the hallway until the end, then turn right and start running down the path here. Just be careful because there are enemies that try to ambush you from behind the pillars, but once you get past them, then climb up the ladder at the end. From here, what we want to do is to proceed over toward the right side. That will be heading south, and we're going to grab one item in the little cubby over on the side. So go ahead and get that, and then if you want to, you can go through this passageway here. You'll go through the crawl space, and then you'll want to turn toward the right because there's going to be another treasure chest up here, but don't worry, this one's safe. After that, we're going to turn around and go back through that crawl space back into the main hallway. And now we're going to go straight across the hallway, and there's going to be another treasure chest just up ahead. Again, watch out for the enemies that tried to ambush you from around the pillars. This is also a trapped treasure chest, so you'll have to fight the enemy here, but we can take him out using the same strategy as last time pretty easily. After that fight, keep heading east, and when you get to the end of the path, turn toward the right, and there's going to be a ladder that leads you up a floor. Let's start by running toward the south, which is directly in front of us. We'll go through this doorway and attack the red Elementa in this hallway. It's going to be weak to any ice-based damage, so I don't have any on my Seeker right now. That's okay though, I'm going to just hit him with a Psych and that will do a fair amount of damage to him. I do have the Blizz spell on my Warrior, so we'll go ahead and use that. And then with Hulkenburg, I can just use a gold attack. I did get a critical hit on this. I don't think it was really that necessary, and I did have another turn icon to use another Psych or switch it back over to Strohl to use another Blizz spell. Either way, you should be able to kill that red Elementa no problem. Now we'll keep going forward and we'll use the ladder to descend to the lower floor, and we want to run around the hallways here, and at the end of the path there's going to be a gold beetle, so make sure you pick this one up, and then we're going to backtrack the way we came, go through this hallway, and then back up the ladder at the end. Now let's keep running straight forward, and we want to keep heading toward the north. So at this point, we're going to turn toward the left, and we're going to run around, grab the items in the hallway, and make our way over to another ladder. I'm going to ignore the enemies that are a little bit tougher here and just go grab the item on the left hallway, then backtrack past all of these tougher skeleton enemies, and we're going to keep going toward the north along the right side path, and we'll take this ladder down to the lower level. Let's have a quick look at the map, and we'll see that there's a path south that has a lot of enemies in the way, so let's go ahead and start to knock all those guys down. They're all one-hit kills, so that makes them pretty easy. Let's just hack our way through all of these guys.
Forward! Charging in. Time for some close combat.
And now that they're defeated, we're going to turn toward the right and grab the item in this little alcove. We'll go back to the main path and then go back toward the north, and now we're going to go all the way to the north end of this hallway where there's a very powerful enemy waiting in front of us. So let's go ahead and attack him, and I'll show you a good way to get through this fight. He's accompanied by two tough enemies here. You definitely want to take out these tougher enemies because if they are still alive, then what they'll do is actually give up their own life. They'll sacrifice themselves and heal the large enemy in the middle. So take out the little guys first so they can't heal the big guy, and then take out the big guy after that. The big guy is a Goddard, and they're pretty powerful because they've got some really nasty tricks up their sleeve. What they can do is they can hex you, and then the next time you take darkness-based damage, you're basically going to die. And they can attack your entire party member with both a hexing attack and a darkness-based attack. So that's really bad for us. You want to kill this guy as quickly as possible. Make sure that you do not use any physical attacks against him, whether it be slash or pierce or strike, because he will reflect it back to you and probably kill you with your own attack. Instead, just use your magic attacks. Using things that are the light element is very powerful, and you're able to do a lot of damage to him. And you can also have your merchant use gold attack to hit him for almighty damage. That will be able to do a decent amount of damage to him. It doesn't have any special effects like it does on those mimic enemies, but that's okay. We're still able to get a good number of critical hits on him, and this guy should go down within a couple turns if you keep attacking his weakness.
The power of fire! They die hard!
Only one left. With Strike Claw.
Worthy foe after all.
By this power. Light!
For defeating this powerful enemy, we get a good amount of Archetype experience, and that was enough to get all of our Archetypes to rank up. In fact, I got more than a full rank with the Warrior, and that taught him Slicer, allowing us to attack between 2 and 4 times in a single turn. And we also got the Merchant to learn Trader Summit, which increases the effect of consumables by 1.2 times the normal amount. We'll go forward and open up this treasure chest. Don't worry, it's totally safe. And then after that, what we want to do is go over toward the left side. We'll go a little bit toward the west, and we're going to go down this short hallway to grab the item. There's also one of these tooth guys. He's not an enemy. He just teaches us about agility, and if we have higher agility, it makes it easier to steal from enemies. Now, we don't have a way to steal anything just yet, but we will be getting that pretty shortly. Let's go ahead and leave this area going back toward the south, and then when we get to the intersection, we want to turn right and start heading toward the west. There's going to be an enemy up ahead on our right. This is another one of the tough guys, so you can either defeat him if you want to or sneak around and grab that treasure chest. I'll just take him out with a critical hit to his back, and then once he's defeated, I'll get all of my experience and other goodies. This was enough to get the protagonist up to level 20, and I get to assign another attribute point. I'm going to go ahead and put it into endurance just to keep it tied up with agility. Now let's open up this treasure chest. It is also going to be safe to get without an enemy lurking inside. This is a new and more powerful weapon for our merchant archetype, so we'll go into our equipment menu down to Hulkenburg, and we're going to equip our new apprentice's abacus, raising our attack from 90 all the way up to 160, so that is a welcome increase. And now we'll keep going north, and once we get to Moore's Cat, you can save it if you want to, and I would recommend that because we do have a powerful enemy just ahead of us inside the overly large treasure chest. Make sure that your health is all topped up here using some form of healing. I'm just going to use the day skill, and now we're going to go forward and interact with this large treasure chest. It's obviously a trap. All of your party members call it out, but that's okay. We're going to open up anyway because we have to. So this is a much more powerful version of those mimic enemies, but we can take him out using the exact same tricks as we did before for the lesser ones. We're going to hit him with his weakness, which is light-based damage, and we can also distract him by hitting him with that gold attack. Using this slicer ability allows us to hit an enemy between 2 and 4 times. It's kind of just luck based, but you can also get critical hits on that, and that can do a lot of damage. And that's really all there is to this fight. Just keep using slicer if you have a half of a turn icon, which you probably should following your seeker using the Hama skill, and then just keep using your gold attack in order to distract him on his turn. And that's really all there is to it. Just keep cycling through those attacks and you'll beat him within a couple minutes. So now I'm just going to let this fight play out, and I'll see you at the end of the battle.
No holding back.
Captain.
Observe the enemy. I defer to you.
The free come forth, royal soul. Flare!
Child's play.
Go for it.
Merchant. They yet cling to life.
I will fight with Vida's power. Light!
You hit their weakness.
Now, what's the
That's
play?
your
Are you
opening,
prepared? I'll cut you down.
Strohl, you gotta aim better than that.
To you.
Flare!
Well, that wasn't so bad. Let's go ahead and get all of our rewards, and I do get both Strohl and Hulkenburg up to level 20, and everyone gets increases to their archetype ranks. That does teach Cyclo to our Seeker, allowing him to do medium wind-based damage. After the fight is a cutscene where we get a new key that allows us to unlock a couple doors in this area. So it's very good that we fought this thing. It was a little bit tough, but it's definitely worth it because we needed this key. We're not quite done with this hallway. If you look at the map, there's still something a little bit further toward the west. So let's keep going down this hallway. There are 2 weak enemies that you can take out and another treasure chest up on the platform. This one is safe, so go ahead and open that up without fear of fighting a monster.
Amazing.
Now we're going to turn around and run back past the large treasure chest monster that we defeated, and we're going to go past Moore's Cat as well. Keep going straight past the intersection, and you're going to climb up the ladder in between the 2 torches. Once you're at the top, go forward, eliminate the enemies along the way, and then you want to turn and go toward the west. We're going to go down this hallway, paying attention to the enemies waiting to ambush us. We'll take out those guys, and then keep going forward and down the ladder. Directly across from that ladder is another item on the ground, so go ahead and pick that up, and now we want to start going toward the south. If we stick over toward the left side path, we're able to loop around and to grab a treasure chest over here, so go ahead and grab this one. It is safe, and then you want to dodge all the enemies, or you can fight them if you want to, but get around them one way or the other and start heading south toward the westernmost hallway. We're going to keep going down here until we get to the end and we can take out some weaker enemies before picking up an item on the ground. Now what we want to do is to go over toward the south wall, and there's going to be a switch that we can interact with that will open up some doors and create a shortcut for us. We're not going to go through that though, because there's actually a crawl space on the wall to the side, so let's go ahead and crawl through that. That takes us to an area where we can pick up an item off the ground, and then if we go north from here, we're able to interact with this wall. Because we have the key that we got from the large treasure chest monster, we're able to open up this wall, and inside this area are going to be 3 safe treasure chests. So go through and pick all of these items up.
Nice. Nice.
Here we go.
We're so lucky.
Well, we don't have too much more to do. Let's go ahead and start running toward the south. We'll go back through that crawl space over toward our right, and then that will take us to the area where we opened up the door before and created that shortcut. It's over on our left, so let's go and run through here, and now we're going to keep running around until we can get to another crawl space that will take us back toward the east. From here, what we want to do is to keep going straight forward. We're going to run past the box that we opened up earlier and into the easternmost hallway. We're going to turn toward the left and start heading north, and partway up this way there's going to be another crawl space on our left. We'll run through here and then we can pick up an item off the ground. Now let's turn and go up the ladder on the north wall. There's going to be another very powerful enemy. We just want to ignore this guy, go over and open up this safe treasure chest.
Nice.
I love it.
And after that, we will once again ignore the enemy and backtrack the way we came, going back down the ladder. And now we'll go back through the crawl space in the wall. As I was heading south, a bunch of enemies respawned, and so I get to take them out. Pay attention to all the items I'm getting. They show up on the left side of the screen. This is all because of that merchant's passive ability called Lucky Find. We're getting lots of items here. Let's keep going all the way south until we get to the end of this room, and then we'll turn toward the right and keep going until you reach the next intersection. You'll want to turn toward the left and keep going down the hallway until you get to where this person is on the right. Turn toward the left, and then you can interact with this big wall here. Just like before, when you interact with the wall, you'll use the key that we got earlier that will open up the wall, and we can go inside to grab the last remaining treasure chest in this area. So let's go ahead and use that, and then we're going to get to the item that we came all the way here for. This is Malveno's ring. Now that we have the ring, our business here is concluded. We will get a cutscene between Hulkenburg, Strohl, and the protagonist. They're kind of joking a little bit about the ring being cursed, and Hulkenburg seems a little apprehensive about wearing it. The choice you make in that dialogue doesn't make at all. However, the next one does matter, because you'll be asked, do you want to return to the entrance or keep exploring? We're going to choose to return to the entrance. Once you're back at the entrance, we're just going to go straight forward. There's going to be a little bit of dialogue and things the game will teach you about what it means to leave the dungeon. We've got a couple choices. Do we want to return to town or stick around at camp, because we can then return the next day to the same dungeon? We want to choose to return to town, which is the first option. So once we do that, then we will finish up the rest of our day and we'll go into the nighttime period. Once again, we cannot do anything at nighttime nighttime because we went to a dungeon during the day. And that's going to conclude June 30th at nighttime, and we are also going to conclude this episode right here as well. So thank you for coming along on this journey with me. I really appreciate it. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit that like button, comment down below, and make sure that you subscribe if you want to stay up to date with the rest of the series as the videos release. I'd love to have you become a part of our ever-growing community. I'll see you soon for part 4, where we pick up right here on July 1st. Until then, thanks for watching and have a good day.